Hello all, I've got a real treat for you this week. As you can see behind me, the environment here in the front room has changed quite dramatically. It's now an art gallery with a special exhibit honoring the work of a local artist and friend of mine, Margaret Everson. I'm just doing a quick little intro here to remind you of some things that are coming up, and then I'll let you see the video I took yesterday of the tour of all of Margaret's artwork. I do urge you, wherever you are and whatever space and opportunities you have, to encourage fine arts in your area. Arts make a big difference in our communities. It's not just something pretty for people to look at. You know, I've already talked a lot about the therapeutic value of art and how much it enriches our lives individually, but encouraging art around us, making sure that our kids are exposed to it, and making sure that it's something that's available to us at every stage of our lives is very important. So if you've got a local art center, make sure you go and join, pay your dues, take advantage of the opportunities, support the arts. When you see festivals, when you see starving artists selling their works, be sure that you find out about those opportunities and do that. It's also going to be a real busy weekend coming up. On May the 2nd, I have the final of my 4 retreats of the year. I started back in August of 25 and have now gone through, or will have after Saturday, gone through the circuit of 4 stitching retreats. I also, along the way, had a yarn retreat and a fiber palooza for weavers and spinners and rug hookers and folks like that. So that's always exciting. We have our garden and block party out on the side here, and that's largely to support the wonderful little plant boutique that's around back called Verde Vin. She is celebrating her 1-year anniversary here in the shop, so there's going to be some festivities there and some live music. And then, of course, Chrissy Morgan from Finally a Farm Girl is going to have her grand opening on Saturday, and there'll be a ribbon cutting here on Saturday morning. I do have some traditional crafters who are going to be here. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a woodcraft guy and some weavers and probably some spinners. And Fred Peltz from Gainesville is going to be here sharpening knives and scissors and doing all kinds of cool things out on the front as well. So we're hoping for a wonderful day, and it's going to be very exciting. And then Margaret's opening reception for her gallery show is on Sunday afternoon from 2 to 5. And of course, that's open to the public. And if you happen to be around in Leesburg anytime during the month of May, you'll be able to come in and take a look at the marvelous and whimsical and creative and colorful work that Margaret has done here in the shop. So enjoy your week. If you are in the Leesburg area or anywhere near Central Florida and you got a chance to take advantage of some of the things happening, I'd love to see you. If not, it's always a pleasure to know that you're out there and that you're keeping up with what's going on, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's Gary Sly. It's actually Sunday morning, April 26th. I have been busy here in the front room of the shop setting up an art exhibit that's going to be here for the month of May. If you have any chance to be in Leesburg this month, it'd be a great opportunity for you to see the work of Margaret Everson. Margaret turns 85 at the end of May, and I offered to highlight some of her art here in my shop as a kind of a retrospective of where she's gone so far. I have to be careful to remember to say that Margaret ain't dead yet, so there's a lot more to come, but we've had such a good time here in the last few years collaborating and working together, and I just love for other people to see what's going on with Margaret's art. So I'm going to walk around a little bit and show you the exhibit. Wasn't sure I could get all this stuff in one room, and I've had to be pretty creative about it, but that doesn't mean that it's not here now. So even if you don't have a chance to come to Leesburg, Florida in the month of May, here's a little bit of looking around to see what's going on. One of Margaret's really fun works are these deconstructed books that she does. And I can really only show you just a little bit of what's going on here, but she takes antique books and she basically creates works of art from them. And this is one part of the exhibit that she really likes people to play around with and look at. So there are all these wonderful deconstructed books here on the table, and just some other things that she's done along the way, postcards, bookmarks, things like that. So just kind of some ephemera, but really some very cool things. Now Margaret has been doing art, painting, and such as that since she was a young woman. Some of her early paintings are pretty traditional artwork that you might see anywhere. But one of the things she's been into most recently has been combining her art and stitching. Margaret is a gifted seamstress as well. So these are some pieces that include some of her stitching. Generally what she does is paint on fabric and then do work over top of that. If Margaret's name sounds familiar, you'll know that I've done some videos where I've done some interviews with her, and I may do that here as part of the month's exhibit as well. There's an abstract piece. Mixed media really best explains what Margaret does. That piece is stitched and painted. There's some more traditional painting up top. I love this one here. This is Pointless, where she uses pen and ink to create a design. Traditional artwork there. One of the things you'll love about her art, though, is the three-dimensional part of it. If I can get up close, you can see that she uses all kinds of techniques to bring those flowers out. And of course, that's one of the most wonderful little bunny rabbits you've ever seen. She also has included in this show some work from her granddaughter and her daughter, and I believe this work is of from her granddaughter. I'm just going to kind of wander around a little bit. She does a great job with faces. One of my earlier videos shows you this 7-panel piece that she did. We only have 3 of the panels here in the exhibit. The others have been sold, and we probably could have managed to get them back here in the shop, but it was pretty difficult to find a place for them anyway. So we've got 3 of those panels. By the way, most of this art is for sale. So if you see something you're interested in, don't hesitate to shoot me a message and I'll let you know what's going on. Margaret took some weaving lessons from me a number of years back. That's actually when we first met. So that's a woven piece that she did with, of course, her own enthusiastic designs to go around it. That piece up top there is one that's done by her daughter. I want to show you, you may have seen this before, but my front counter is also artwork that Margaret created. There's a crazy quilt panel, there's weaving, there's cross stitch, and hidden behind the chair over here is a panel that represents dyeing. So it's been my privilege to have some of Margaret's artwork here in the shop for a very long time. Okay, I'm back in here now. We've got a traditional painting here, another piece of stitching. As I said, I've had to be pretty creative about how to find a place to put things. That's stitched there. This is a still life painting. There's a collage. One of my favorite pieces of Margaret's, and one that I actually own, is this beautiful painting. It usually hangs upstairs in my home, but was willing to bring it down and have it be part of the exhibit today. Again, it's the 3-dimensional aspects of this that just give it so much depth and representation for me. Margaret does sculptures, this peacock. Here's a retrospective piece. This won an award at the Utah State Fair in 1981. We've got a steampunk lady there, and another one of Margaret's whimsical sculptures of a flamingo. Not really sure what to say about this piece, except it's pretty avant-garde. And you won't find Margaret stuffed in a box somewhere artistically. You'll always find some new ideas. Up top is another stitch piece, Bloom As You Are. And Margaret is famous for taking things that otherwise would be thrown away and doing something wonderful with them. This was a painted crewel piece of fabric that Margaret repainted and then stitched over top. And of course I did some framing for her there. I want to focus in on this wonderful head image here of a man with blue eyes. Isn't that stunning? And then Margaret was telling me this represents her grandfather, who was a Texan who lived during the Dust Bowl. And that's how Margaret ended up in California to begin with, was that her family left the Dust Bowl. Look at the representation there, and the music and the art. Again, collage, combination of things. There's another pretty stunning painting. Another one of my favorite paintings up top with some three-dimensional work going on there. And then Margaret's self-portrait. She said she didn't like this very much, and I suspect none of us like portraits of ourselves. But as always, it has that kind of whimsical flair that you'll come to know if you know much about what Margaret does. Up top, that little tea kettle is stitched. There's another three-dimensional painting that's just stunning. I hate that some of these are so high up in the air, but it's just very hard to find a place to put everything, and I just didn't want to leave anything out. Look at the wonderful stitching on that painted piece there. The seascape is a more traditional painted piece. And there's a whimsical little owl with all kinds of fun colors up top. This recently was entered in the county fair here in Lake County, Florida, and Margaret got a gold medal for that. That's collage, slow stitched, taking different fabric elements, stitching over them. There's a mixed media piece. And believe it or not, this is a birth announcement. Look there at the date and the time and the birth, I believe, of one of Margaret's grandchildren. More stitched pieces on this wall, taking wonderful colors, combining art, generally on muslin, painted in some way, and then stitched over top. Here's a really interesting side. Got two of these banners there. Unfortunately, because the sun is so bright, they're not very easy to see, but they're stitched pieces. You're gonna love this one here. This is a collage sculpture. Everything there is handmade. Margaret was telling me the scales on the dragon are made from eggshells that are painted. And we've also included some other woven pieces here that Margaret did. Margaret loves to teach, and they've been doing a slow stitch class here in the shop. So two of her students, Mary Ellen and Plaz, were willing to show off these rice bags that they'd done as part of Margaret's class. So that's a tour of the room here today, and a look at the whimsical, creative, colorful art of Margaret Everson. If you do have a chance to come down to Leesburg anytime during the month of May, it'll be on display. And I certainly wish Margaret best wishes. If you see anything here that you're interested in, shoot me a message. I'll find out what Margaret is willing to part with it for, and maybe you'll have a piece of her wonderful artwork to enjoy yourself. Anyhow, this is Gary Slide, the Legacy of Handmade Objects, and I'm pleased to be here in the front gallery to show off the work of Margaret Everson. Take care.